February 4, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is how the chart looked like today. There's this big spiky sell-off, flush down, out for a while. There's a gradual move up, kind of a consolidation sideways action from here to about here. I didn't really draw in the bigger range because it didn't really come into play or actually help out all that much. But I suppose you could put a range right here. I'm going to go ahead and delete it though because it didn't really help. This is how I saw the charts and how I drew it up. I took one trade today. It was a little bit more aggressive. And then the rest of the day, it was kind of a slow, meandering day where it didn't really set up a lot of trades. The volume was also a little lower today. The only economic data came out at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard, which is about right here. See this big green spike? It was the JOLTS Job Openings. And I think per Forex Factory, if you look here, Forex Factory says maybe at 2:10 Pacific Standard, President Trump's going to speak, but that's kind of over here where the market's already closed, so I'm not holding anything overnight, so it really wouldn't matter to me. So I'm going to get into the charts right now. In the pre-market, there was kind of a flush down. This blue line actually corresponds to the big gap down that occurred. So gap down right here, flushed, and then kind of bounced back up. It didn't close the gap until today, right here, at least in regular trading hours. So that's just kind of a blue line that I kept in place. It acted kind of a little repulsion area, a little bit of a resistance right there. But other than that, it didn't really affect the market all that much more after that. Right? So it was a flush down spike, kind of a smaller channel, two bounces. This is all in the pre-market, so it takes a while for these candles to close. I don't trade this gray area, the pre-market. Looks like there's a spike in an orange up channel. It's this triple test consolidation here, or triple test resistance here, comes down. It looked like it was holding some kind of support here, but there was no real clean setup that I particularly liked. I was playing with different, so I did have this purple panel drawn because it looked like it touched here, touched here, touched here. It's moved a little bit since then. Let's see, something like that. On the top side, it kind of touched pretty well. So I was thinking maybe it's going to move up in this purple up channel, but then later I found this yellow up channel. Yellow up channel kind of comes into play here where I was trying to find some kind of support. I don't really trust the top side. And here I don't really see any clean setups. It's just a congestion area, trading range, another trading range. There are second entries, but they don't set up quite right. Here, unfortunately, there are no second entries. Just first entry, new high, first entry. You're going from the bottom side, technically new low, first entry short, second entry short. I wouldn't trust anything going short right now because the EMA is starting to move upwards. It breaks out of this trading range pretty decisively. So I'm watching this. It's pushing up. I'm thinking it may be a failed breakout, but here it made first entry long, second entry long, bad signal bar to go long on. It flushes up. This is also where the economic data came out, the JOLTS job openings. Pushes up. I draw this yellow up channel. I'm just kind of watching this carefully. You have a second entry long here. It's a bad signal bar. Nothing I particularly like. Flushes up. It seems to be obeying this orange up channel. This yellow up channel actually was a little bit, I had something starting from here and I was kind of following this. Later, after this violation, another subsequent violation, I redrew it. So it kind of evolved into something like this. So I made it have good support here, and I drew it such that it kind of had a resistance here. So I'm thinking it's moving up on this yellow up channel. Purple up channel, I'm not too sure about anymore. This actually sets up for my first one and only trade. It's pushing up on this orange up channel. It's a break of the orange up channel. Made first attempt up. Here, it's about to create the second attempt up. So it's first attempt, second attempt. I will admit this isn't a very clean second entry long because this is a bearish signal bar, but I do like that it's a bullish red signal bar. In other words, it closed at the top half. It just closed slightly below where it opened. I also like that it was hitting a multiple test. And I was seeing, it doesn't quite look like it, but at the time I thought it was bouncing off this EMA. So there's like two key entry points, EMA here, and the bottom of the range. First entry long, pullback, second entry long, test of the orange up channel needs new test of the high. It is a little bit riskier because it is not the best setup, but entered one tick above, kind of oscillating sideways, pushes up. I just take the entire position off here. Actually, no, I take that back. I went for the 1 point scalp or 5 ticks from here, 51.50 to 52.75. I drag my runner stop from down here. After it hits this, I move it to 1 tick above break even, which is right here. Then I moved it 1 tick above, well, 1 tick below this guy, and that's where I got stopped out. Hoping for another break and push up, but I was aware of a potential resistance here. Then it became a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. I thought this was an almost trade. It's a break of this green down channel, break and test of the new low. It is a first entry, second entry. This is a pretty good signal bar. I do like that it engulfed the previous, but this previous signal bar for the second entry long is an inside bar, so I treated this as potentially the inside bar. What I didn't like is that it broke below the EMA, so I wasn't 100% sure because this yellow up channel, I had it something like this. I was thinking it already touched the top side. It could be coming back down to the bottom side. So to go long, it felt iffy, but I could also see that going short. So I wanted a higher low confirmation to have confidence it's going to keep moving up. You don't get a higher low and it kind of flushes down. But then it sets up this trade, which I think is actually a better setup. You have a new high, visual first entry, pullback, potential second entry right here. Those visual 2 legs down, technically by the counts, first entry long, second entry long. You would have a third entry, but this would be a new high, and you technically only have a first entry long here. But I saw it as a visual first, second, and it did test the highs of this orange up channel, but I do like that this was encouraging. It is below the EMA, but then this follow-up was a pretty nice signal bar. It's only 8 ticks. I thought is actually moving back into this range. This is actually the first fail breakout. Initially, I did have this drawn lower and I treated this as a fail breakout, which also gave me a little bit of pause on this trade because I saw it's a fail breakout. First entry, second entry, it could create a second fail breakout here. That's why I wanted a higher low here. But after this, I dragged it up to here. And I was watching this. I said, maybe if there's a fail breakout here, or actually there was no fail breakout, could it be pushing back in? So I thought this was a decent trade, but I didn't take it. I also like that it closed the high. It isn't inside, so it's a little riskier. Prices start chopping sideways. First entry short, second entry short. It's top of the range. This isn't really the best signal bar. It is really small, but here it feels like I'd be going short on a bullish bias. So didn't mark it, didn't really feel that confident about it. If it had ticked 1 tick above this guy and then reversed, I would have felt better. But technically right now it's an inside bar. Kind of chops sideways, moves down on this green down channel. It's a first entry long. Technically I have a second entry long here, but there's no real setup. It's not really the best signal bar. It's below the EMA. Just kind of gets choppy and noisy. I draw this transparent down channel, but didn't really set up any good trades. Pushes up. You have a first entry short, pullback. You have a second entry short, as well as a potential second entry long. So you have a new high, first entry long, pullback. You have a second entry long potential here and a first entry short, second entry short failure. I don't like this though because it's pushing against this resistance here. Pushing against this resistance. On top of that, there is this blue line, which is the gap fill from Friday to Monday, where it flushed down. It almost filled the gap here. It's getting close to filling the gap here. Well, actually, it already did. So I was thinking, is it going to find some resistance? It's going to have a small correction before it proceeds further. So it's just a lot of things that had things going against it. So I called it like a, well, not even a trade. Prices move up, it hits a consolidation area, it starts moving up on this green up channel, but doesn't fit all that nicely. It's very congested. So I kind of left it alone. It is a guideline to use, but it's hard to trust it at this point. Which is down. It starts breaking through this yellow up channel at this point. Break, makes one attempt up, pull back, creates a second attempt up. It's also a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short failure potential. It's a decent signal bar, but I saw that this yellow or this orange down channel broke, made one attempt down. It could be starting a second attempt, but it reversed. Here is also a push on the green up channel, broke early, made one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up, but it already tested the highs. So it's hard to really trust if it's going to go up or down because it's still a bullish bias for sure. But the setup just doesn't look that enticing. So if I did enter, I would have gotten out with a 1 point scalp, but it just felt dicey. It hits a congestion area, then starts flushing down, break, first entry short. You technically have a second entry short, it's an inside bar. I don't like that. Comes up, I'm looking for EMA resistance. So it's a first entry short, and that's all you get. It comes back down, makes a new low. So here I'm not even thinking of going long anymore, and it's broken out of my purple up channel, which doesn't even fit that all that nicely at this point. It doesn't even seem to be all that important. So as you can see, it kind of comes into play, kind of doesn't. You could argue maybe it's coming into play, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and delete it for clarity. But it has broken through, pressing down. It's this low point, say first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, break of the new high, break of the green up channel, test made new high. Yellow down channel does want to test the low. I'm not confident in taking this trade because this could be the signal bar here if you counted it, but this is actually the real signal bar. Say first entry short, second entry short. Signal bar is bullish, but it came in with a bearish trigger bar. So I'm waiting for a lower high below the EMA to feel more confident. It hits this triple test, triple top. Kind of looks like it's moving sideways. So I'm not even thinking of going short at this point. It starts reversing back up. It kind of fits this orange up channel, but not the best. It creates this new high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. Here I saw it, but I'm not thinking of going long yet. It's a good signal bar, but it's below the EMA. The follow through looks pretty nice, but it's below the EMA. So the setup happened below the EMA. I'm looking for a lower high, a higher low confirmation above the EMA to trust it. And you kind of get one here. But now, for me to take this trade, there's not enough room before I hit this suspected resistance area right here. So I definitely don't want to take this trade because it's just too close now. It would have worked though, but you don't know at the time. Starts pushing down, like a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's just congested. It doesn't look that great. So here, today, I was trying to play with a possible range, a possible channel, and I came up with something like this, kind of overshoot here, pushes up. I'm thinking maybe it's going to make a move up to here, but it did make a measured leg up, and then it keeps going. So here I'm watching, and I'm wondering, is it going to hit the top here? It kind of does, but it also hits the pre-market highs. So it's a little confusing. Nothing is setting up very clean or confident for me. There is a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. It's bad signal bar. It starts pushing. The first entry long pullback, second entry long. No good reason to go long here. Also, no good reason to go short here. It's just a little ambiguous. You have to wait for more price action to unfold, as well as ideally have a better, cleaner setup. Or you have to look for higher lows or lower high confirmations, especially on a kind of a slow churning day like this. Flushes down. It's just kind of getting choppy here. There's a consolidation area here. There's no real setup though. It's just the first entry short. Starts moving up what I think is this orange up channel, but doesn't even fit that nicely. Then it starts reversing. It starts moving down on this green down channel. Breaks through the EMA. And as with it's been doing today, the EMA hasn't been super reliable except early on. Then afterwards, it was above, below, above. Price action is above, below, above, below. And so it's just not very helpful as a key entry point. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands, but it's also getting late in the day, as you can see. So I'm not really even thinking of trying to get a home run hitter or just even trying to scalp out anything, especially when I was already profitable for today. First entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short, but it's above the EMA. It's just whipsaw, just kind of choppy sideways. I was thinking maybe there's some kind of trading range. So I had this at one time, which I later deleted just for clarity. Kind of choppy. First entry long pullback. Technically, I have a second entry long, but you're also moving into the last 10 minutes of the day. Pushes up and out. and into the close. So it was it was kind of a dry day. I would say most of the setups that I could identify as being possible or almost there were early on. So this is about 9 o'clock Pacific Standard. So the market's been open for about 2.5 hours. And then this is the remaining 4 hours, which is, as you can see, has been very slow. This is from 9 a.m. Pacific Standard all the way to 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard. So this is like about the same number of candles as early on. So it was no wonder that there was really no clean setups that I really liked. Most of it showed up early. And even the one I took, I would admit was a little more risky. So not too much stuff happening today. Hopefully tomorrow it gets a little bit better. So hopefully that was helpful.